what's up, everyone? Welcome to this week's Commanders Countdown. The draft is finally over. We don't have to look at any more mock drafts. We can actually see what we actually did.
Yep.
Initially, I know everyone wanted us to take, between a couple of different players, Chris Olave being one of probably the main ones at 11.
Right.
But out of the blue, they decided to trade with New Orleans and move up to 16. And then, ironically, with the 11th pick, New Orleans did select Chris Olave.
Right.
So following that, with our first pick at 16, we took Penn State wide receiver Jahan Dotson, which I know a lot of people, especially on Facebook, have been very critical of this draft and not happy with it. But given, we received 2 picks for the trade back to 16 from New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 98 and 144, a third and a
Right.
fifth. So, the value there, and we got a very good receiver. I don't know if anyone's looked at any tape of Jahan Dotson. I didn't until this. I don't get too much into players in the draft and until the season starts. But I'm going to check him out after we draft him.
Mm-hmm.
And he has some of the best hands I've ever seen, and possibly the best hands in the draft. So
Yeah,
I don't see how there's
anything.
Yeah, he hasn't. I don't think he has a single drop pass at all in college, like not even one, which I don't even understand how that's possible. Quarterbacks got to throw a bad pass at some point that you're not going to catch. Like,
Yeah, I mean, let me see here.
I'm not sure. I feel like I saw that, but
Well, okay, so here we go. So he had the lowest drop rate
lowest drop rate
of 3.5%. So I don't think it was none, but it was just really low. And then he was 4th in contested catch rate at 81.3%, which is really good.
Yeah.
And actually, Ron, I don't know if you heard this, but Ron said that he he reminds him of Deshaun Jackson a little bit. And then that
Yes,
he also
I did.
reminds him of
Yeah.
Steve Smith, who Ron, of course, had in Carolina. Just a little bit smaller in stature, but he makes big plays. So, yeah, I mean, that's definitely good.
And speaking of stature, it's ironic now that basically our entire receiver core, or at least the main ones, are all under 6 feet or 6 feet or under. I think Terry might be 6 feet. I know Curtis Samuel's 5'11", and I think Jahan Dotson's also
Jahan's
5'11".
5'11". I'm looking at it
Yes.
right here. Yeah,
So
5'11",
they're
178.
They're all basically the same height, but they're all fast. So I mean,
Yeah.
And then we have Logan Thomas healthy. We got this that 6'7" tight end. I don't know if he's going to be anything good, but I know it'd be more ideal maybe to have one tall receiver, but I feel like having 3 players like that are all kind of the same and can hit anywhere on the field might turn out to be really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to give more weapons, and you had to give something. I mean, especially because you don't know what you're going to get out of Curtis Samuel yet. So I think it was a good move. And,
I remember he did say some things on social media about feeling more like himself and stuff like that, which is great if it's the truth, and he actually can. Yeah, so if he's actually back healthy, we got Logan Thomas and Chase Young's back, and it's not like a repeat of second half of last season.
Yeah,
Injuries and COVID.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then they went with the next draft pick. They got Fadarian Mathis, the Alabama defensive tackle, at 47 overall.
Yeah. And this was another pick that was also projected to go at a later round. The first 2 picks that we've gotten, that's what has been said about them. And even that guy, Fadarian Mathis, when he answered the phone, said, "Oh, I didn't expect to go until..."
Yeah, that wasn't a good look.
Which is not classy at all.
You never want to say that. Yeah,
it's like, okay, well,
yeah,
all right. Like, I wasn't quite as happy with that one as the first one. I was like, all right, well, I mean, we'll see how it plays out. But at least with the following pick at 98, we got another running back to help bolster the running back room even further and take some of the load off of, Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I thought that was a good pick as well. Because they can, I think the plan is to use them. Ron said, like, when he had Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams in Carolina, they were a really proficient running back attack. Back when they had, the 2 of them and Cam Newton. Carolina was running all over everybody. So they plan to use Brian Robinson in that role, kind of sub him in with Antonio Gibson and give them both looks. They also addressed safety because obviously with the loss of Landon Collins, although One thing I will mention is there has been, yeah. I think you were going to probably mention the same thing. Go ahead.
Oh, well, yeah, there's talks that Landon Collins might want to come back.
Mutual interest. Right.
Which I would be, I was kind of sad to see him go because once he switched positions, man, he was a beast.
He was lights out. Yeah.
It was like, where has this guy been? Like making all this money, and he's like, oh, I don't want to change positions, and he changed positions, and it's just great. And it's like, all right,
well, that also
if
speaks,
he comes back
positively to the culture of the team, like that these guys want to come back, like with JD McKissick first, and then
right, that's true. Yeah.
So I mean, obviously Ron is building a culture. Whether obviously a lot of people are frustrated because it didn't happen overnight, but these things sometimes they take 3 years. It's a process.
And so many people always want to say like, oh, nobody would want to come to Washington. Nobody wants to stay in Washington. That's never.
Yeah, I don't buy that.
Like there's just so many negative fans out there that always say that, and here's instances where that's definitely not the case. Yeah.
So you figure Percy Butler. Last thing on him, you figure he'll probably be a depth signing. Probably play a lot on special teams initially, because they have Bobby McCain at safety and also Cameron Curl. So they've got good safeties, but he'll probably sub in there from time to time. Then in the 5th round,
from the Saints, the 5th round we picked up from the Saints.
Yep. Washington did get a quarterback who I've seen a lot of people think that he's going to win the number 2 job over Heineke. I don't know if those are just Heineke haters.
They must be Heineke haters. I don't see how that's possible, but
Yeah.
Maybe. If he's better than Heineke, then sweet, but I just don't see that being the case.
Yeah. I mean, if he deserves to win the job, then by all means, Taylor's going into next season making $1.5 million. So they're Howell, he's a little bit bigger than Heineke, like an inch taller. I think he's 6 foot, 218. He was a highly touted prospect. He really set North Carolina state records at a high school. And let's see here. Also, the other thing I wanted to mention, college teammates with De'Ami Brown, the Commanders receiver. So those two guys have a lot of familiarity with each other. But yeah, I mean, he's been brought on. Obviously, did they have? I'm trying to think who their 3rd string would have been, because obviously Kyle Allen went to Houston, and then
is that where he is now?
And then Jordan Tiamu is in the USFL playing for the Tampa Bay Bandits right now. So I don't think they had a 3rd stringer. So I think Sam Howell comes in as your 3rd stringer, and potentially if he's lights out, potential to win the backup job. But right. I'm sure Taylor will have something to say about that. I don't think he's going away without a fight.
Yeah, I mean, I think Taylor would at least be able to keep the backup job. I really like the idea of him as a backup. So, I mean, unless Sam Howell can show something, better than Heineke, which I imagine his arm is probably stronger. Heineke does not have the best arm, but, as a backup, you can tailor things to a backup at that point. Like, they had to do the entire season with him, but still had some success. And his ability to move around and all that. But it was an interesting pick to see them go with a quarterback, because I wasn't sure if they would go with one at all. But given they got the pick compensation for trading, I feel like they're just kind of going out on a limb and saying, well, he's there. Let's go ahead.
And I was going to say probably having him available in the 5th round, because quarterbacks really didn't start going until the 3rd. Yeah. Besides Kenny Pickett, I mean, you probably couldn't pass him up. You're like, oh, well, he's there. And like I said, he was highly touted. He was projected to go higher. People thought Sam Howell could go as high as, the 2nd or 3rd round. And I remember a long time ago, he was actually catching buzz as maybe one of the draft's best quarterbacks. But we'll see. I mean, the one thing that's interesting about him is he does have a big arm. So essentially, if, something did happen to Wentz in a game, he could essentially come in and run that vertical offense, which that was kind of the knock on. Obviously, Heineke, I've heard the nonsense of the noodle arm. I don't think he has a noodle arm.
He doesn't have a noodle arm, but
he doesn't have the best deep ball in the game. He doesn't have the best deep ball velocity. So, I mean, it is nice to get somebody that can at least come in and run that same offense.
Yeah, like Heineke can get the ball far down the field. It's just he can
fit stuff in some windows.
it's not going to get there the same way. It's in the air too long, and therefore that makes it dangerous. And it's not.
I remember one
accurate.
game he threaded it, but I think it might have been the Raiders game. He threaded it right between two
like
defenders'
two defenders. It was like that was probably
Yeah.
one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in football. Like
so, I mean,
that is not something you see a lot.
He doesn't have velocity, but he has touch, and touch.
Well, in the short range passes, I feel like he has some velocity, at least more.
For sure.
But
yeah, I mean, he's an NFL quarterback. I mean, Jesus,
yeah.
the man's a professional athlete.
I personally hope to see him stick around as the backup. I enjoy watching him when he's out on the field. It's not like, when you had Nick Mullins and he came out, you just want to just take the gun and just, all right, well, I'm done. Like at least with a backup like him,
Who did
like,
Nick Mullins
all right, well,
go to? I'm trying to remember who got him. He was last year with Cleveland, but somebody else got him. Ooh,
somebody else is on the down. Yeah. While you're looking that up, I'm just going to mention the last 3 picks. There was 3 other late round picks. 5th round Cole Turner and 7th rounders Christian Holmes and Chris Paul. The one thing I know about them, or at least one of them, Cole Turner is 6'7", and I guess he was a quarterback at one point in college. So that'll be interesting to see him.
So is Logan Thomas. I mean, maybe you're going.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think Logan Thomas is quite. I think he's like 6'4", maybe. Maybe he's like no.
Yeah,
he's
not
actually,
as tall, but a former quarterback transitioning to tight end.
You know what? I think he's 6'6". I'm gonna look
6'6".
that up.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. 6'6", 240.
Okay. So this guy's about the same height. He's not super tall still pretty tall for a tight end, but
out of the University of Nevada, he had 117 catches, 1,300 yards, and 20 touchdowns. Wow! Last year as a senior,
up a tight end,
he had 10 touchdown catches, which was the most in the Mountain West Conference. So,
sweet.
He's a good receiving threat. I mean, obviously, last year, I remember after Logan Thomas got hurt, you guys had Ricky Seals-Jones, and then he got hurt. But Seals-Jones wasn't as good as Logan Thomas, obviously.
No, not nearly as good.
But then
he dropped numerous passes.
Yeah. And then they had John Bates, who came on strong. But John Bates is also a good blocker. I think Cole Thomas gives you another
John Bates
good receiving
is a much
tight
better
end.
Hopefully, because you're right. John Bates is a lot more of a blocking tight end, but he does actually seem.
But he catches the ball well. Yeah, I mean he's a pleasant surprise.
When needed, he can do both. Like he actually seemed to have better hands than Ricky Seals-Jones did. So
I think they've improved the tight end position with the 3 guys that they have,
which we definitely needed, and we needed Logan Thomas healthy so bad. Him getting hurt was just terrible. But hopefully this guy, he can be a breakout star for us. That'd be nice to have 2 great tight ends, but a late round pick that just becomes a great team. Everyone loves that.
You know I'm smiling because Nick Mullins went to the Eagles.
Oh, that's right. It wasn't in the NFC East.
Oh man, if Jalen goes down, oh man.
That's good. That's good news. Hell yes.
Oh man, he is terrible. He is the worst of all time, dude. Oh my god. Watching him.
Oh man.
And then Chris Paul, not to be confused with Phoenix Sun and NBA legend Chris Paul. This is a different Chris Paul. He was the second guy. There were 2 guys drafted, or no, 3 guys drafted, I think, that had NBA player names. Obviously, him and cornerback Kobe Bryant out of Cincinnati were the 2.
That one I definitely saw that one. That threw me off. I was like, what?
Yeah, but Chris Paul is a guard out of Tulsa, so addressing the offensive line, late in the draft. And then they also took Oklahoma State cornerback Christian Holmes, as drafted 240th overall. So more than likely a guy that'll make the practice squad or maybe make the team.
I would say that about any of the bottom 3. You never really know. Bottom 4, even Sam Howell might not be great.
Yeah, that's true. And of these guys, Sam Howell was actually the first of the draft class to sign his, or first quarterback of the 2022 draft class to sign his rookie deal. And the Commanders have also signed Cole Turner, Christian Holmes, and Chris Paul. So they've already gotten 4 of their draft picks under contract within like 1 week of the draft. So you always like to see that. You don't want anybody holding out. So
definitely
a good start.
Yeah, so overall, not not like the most exciting draft. There's obviously draft grades you can throw out, which I've seen anything from an A to a D.
Right.
On different, whatever site you look on might have a different opinion.
Right.
You know, for me, it's kind of just you take it as it is. You know, we did gain some more players out of trading back to add to the roster. That's usually seen as a good move. So, I mean, I'm happy with it, but I'm not going to be unhappy or happy with it really until I see these people play in the actual season, or you know, training camp and you know, when you actually get to see people in action and you really see how things are developing. At that point, you know, I have more of a strong opinion about it. But at this point, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the positions we got, and I look forward to seeing how they perform. Especially Jahan Dotson. You know, obviously the first round pick, you always want to see how they perform. But yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that'll be the most telling thing. You know, obviously getting these guys out on the field and seeing how they look. But yeah, I mean, I think that as far as the draft goes, they definitely addressed quite a few positions of need. Obviously, receiver was something that we mentioned that they could definitely address, and they did. So you'd like to see them do that. I figure Fadarian Mathis probably will, you know, they lost Tim Settle at defensive tackle, so he probably comes in and fills a need at that position.
We need him to hopefully step up and be good at that point. So I mean, so he's one I'm gonna be watching a bit actually. Yeah, especially with.
I love the name. I'm glad you guys got a guy with a fun name. Like we got Diamador Lenore. I'm glad you guys got Fadarian Mathis. Like good. Like I remember I texted you as soon as you guys got him, and I was like, love the name. I was like, you know, solid pick. I'd have drafted him. I'd have been like, we can get this guy with that name. Call him.
It's like I don't care where he's from. That's great. Like
the enthusiasm, and he's from Bama, so that doesn't hurt. Guy played for Nick Saban, who gets you pro ready.
Yep.
And then just two other things. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say news. Another receiver news. We signed wide receiver Alex Erickson. He's more of a punt return guy, hopefully to try and replace DeAndre Carter, who we unfortunately lost. After spending his first 5 years with the Bengals, he signed with the Panthers in 2021. He played in all 17 games. He had 3 receptions for 55 yards, along with 23 punt returns for 204 yards.
Yep. Yeah, so obviously probably not somebody that's going to catch a ton of passes. Probably just brought in either to fill your off-season 90-man roster or to be your new punt returner. Obviously, they lost DeAndre Carter, so he could end up filling that role. But yeah, so he's coming back over, and then they made another signing. They signed another former Panther, also former Steeler, Trey Turner, for a 1-year, $3 million deal. Turner is entering his 9th NFL season. He entered the league as the 92nd overall pick in the 2014 draft for the Panthers. He's a 5-time Pro Bowler, made the Pro Bowl for 5 consecutive seasons from 2015 to 2019, and has appeared in 110 career regular season games with 85 starts. So a guy that's played a lot. And obviously with the loss of Brandon Scherf and Eric Flowers at guard, we talked about them getting Andrew Norwell, but who was going to play the other guard? And maybe now we know that's Trey Turner. And at a clip of $3 million for a player that Ron knows and has been reliable and a former Pro Bowler as recent as 2 seasons ago, not a bad cost.
No, definitely not. I'm happy with that because we needed someone to fill that role.
Yeah, I mean, last season he was with the Steelers, and he started all 17 games, so definitely a reliable player. And I know that was the thing that Washington fans were mad about because they didn't address the offensive line until Chris Paul, who they took later in the draft, but maybe they had a plan all along. And I know that Ron has also mentioned they're still looking at linebackers, so they're not out at potentially adding a free agent linebacker at this point. And we'll put up a list of the best available remaining free agent linebackers that Washington may potentially try to court. So we'll follow that situation, let you know who they sign. They also who was the other guy? The like Cole Kelly, like the six. Did you see they signed like some 6'7" quarterback?
No,
as well?
I thought that was Cole Turner. I thought he was a quarterback in college.
I think this is a different guy. Hold on.
Is it a different guy? I don't know.
Yeah. Hold on.
That when you say the name, it like sounds familiar, but
Yeah, right here, bud.
no, he was an undrafted free agent. I think that we drafted,
exactly. He wasn't drafted. Yeah, 6'7", 260 out of Southeast Louisiana.
Yeah,
Kid's,
he's
like,
one
huge.
of there's a list of undrafted
Yeah.
that we got as well.
I just wanted to
Not much
mention
8 or
him
10
as well
people.
because he could be an intriguing prospect. It's like that guy is phenomenally
Maybe.
sized.
Usually the too tall quarterbacks don't really go that well in the NFL.
Yeah,
but
no, they
it could
usually
be,
convert
never
to
know.
tight end.
Yeah, so
So
kind of
we'll see.
yeah, it's probably just camp body. But
Yeah, probably.
that's pretty much all we got for you after the draft. If any news comes up in the coming weeks, we'll be sure to cover it.
Absolutely.
But thanks for joining us, and tune in next time.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
This week for the Extra Point Show. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you're not already, make sure that you like and subscribe and follow us on all of the social media platforms. And check out our other video clips, like the Niners News Update.
And the Commander's Countdown.
That's right. See you next week, everybody.